Welcome to Christ in Our Neighborhood. And as you may already know, a new 7-week series called Baptized in the Lord, a part of our Christ in Our Neighborhood, begins this week. But you are not too late to register for these weekly faith sharing groups conducted by our seminarians, deacons, women religious, and lay faithful. We have 25 hosts, and they are all ready to lead you through the Sunday scriptures. So if you haven't already registered, please consider visiting christ-ion.com or Christ in Our Neighborhood. You can Google it and find us there on site, and then simply register for this 7-week series. Well, today I am pleased to have with us 3 guests. They are John Galvan, the director of the Office for Schools, John Proust, the director of the Office for Family Life and Spirituality, and Gerardo Rojas, the director of the Diocesan Institute. Although they are directors of different offices, they have 2 things in common. They are Catholic men and they are Catholic dads. Catholic dads. And as we look to Father's Day this Sunday, I have asked them to join me for this very special Christ in Our Neighborhood segment on honoring our Catholic dads. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop.
You know, I love this Sunday's gospel from Matthew chapter 10, where Jesus says, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a small coin, yet not one of them falls to the ground without your Father's knowledge. Even all the hairs of your head are counted. So do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows." And I think of my own dad. I recall how he was that source of comfort for me whenever I had any fear as a little child, and even as an adult, he has been a common source of comfort for me. And I was worth everything to him, and I knew it. And he's a solid Catholic man, and he's a great Catholic father. And so on this Father's Day, I'm just going to ask you, and feel free to share. I have a couple of questions for you. What does it mean to be a Catholic man? And what does it mean to be a Catholic dad? Feel free to chime in.
I can jump in, Bishop John. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's when you look at the world at large, all creatures reproduce. So fatherhood, for all intents and purposes, I think is rather easy. But being a dad is something very special. And like you, Bishop John, my dad was and is a very special man in my life, and he provided a role model of what it means to be a Catholic man. And he's a strong man. He's kind of a quiet man, but like you, always the protector, always the provider, and loved us with a masculine kind of a strength. Much different than my mother, who was very nurturing, and my dad has grown into be more nurturing as he's gotten older. But I look at him as a role model of just being there to protect, to love, and to encourage his kids. Like you said, even in adulthood, we still look for that affirmation, and that's a wonderful blessing.
That's good. How about either of you, John or
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been a Catholic dad for that long. Our son Kieran was born almost 14 months ago now, as of just a few days ago. And I don't know, it's been an interesting journey. We tried for quite some time to have kids, and I had gotten to the point where I was questioning, I may never be a dad, and kind of, you're trying, but you're also sort of trying to come to terms with that possibility. And that was a difficult place to be for a few years. But now that I'm a dad, I mean, it's obviously been challenging, but tremendous blessings. And as far as like that connection between being a Catholic man and being a Catholic dad, I almost feel like I'm becoming, at least at this stage in my life, more of myself, which gives me that sense that this is the right vocation for me right now.
Right. Yeah, and I remember my dad once saying about my sister Christy, who was the youngest in my family. He said, he says, I can't ever remember my life without her, which is a fascinating thing. And you have a daughter just 14 months old. Can you imagine your life without her?
I can't imagine my life without him. No, it's hard.
Well,
He's such an integral part of who we are now as a family.
Yeah, right. How about you, Gerardo?
Yeah, so great questions. I've been a dad now for about 12. Is this working?
Yep.
You can hear me? Okay. Sorry. 12 years. 12 years. So my oldest is 12 years old. And I also think about the example of my dad and my grandparents, and just how much they were there. Their presence alone, I think, was so important. So I think as dads, as fathers, we really making time to be there, to spend time with your kids, to get to know their amazing gifts and their their talents, their likes, their dislikes. That's been a joy for me to do. And I think what I took from my dad and my grandparents was their strength, their stability, the way that they made me feel safe and secure, the way they encouraged and supported me. And I think that's what I want to do for my kids. I want to be a source of stability, of strength, of encouragement. And how does that translate into being a Catholic dad as well? Is, well, where do I get more strength and stability and encouragement? I need to get that from somewhere to be able to give that to them. And I find that Christ is the one that gives me that strength. So the closer I am to Christ through our Catholic Church, then the better dad that I can be for them. And it's never perfect. It's always challenging. I'm a B- probably father at this point, but always trying to improve.
My hunch is that your kids think you're an A+.
I hope so.
Well, there will
There's
be
no playbook, Gerardo. There's no playbook.
That's right. There's no playbook, and there will be times when they're going to give you. They might even give you an F grade, but that's okay. That's when they may be militant and all of that. That happens. It's just going to happen. We've all been there at a point where we, wanted to diss our parents, but we would never ever seriously think that they were not passing in our grades. They wouldn't have a passing grade. So I really appreciate your presence here, fellows. And what words of wisdom would you be able to offer Catholic dads?
We can just go around the Brady Bunch circle here again. And what I didn't mention was the other male role model I look to in Catholic fatherhood is Saint Joseph, Jesus' own father. And having spent significant time teaching in a CSJ school, and the patron course of Saint Joseph, what I learned about him as a father, he's very quiet in Scripture, as you know, but everything he did was tempered with gentleness, peace, and joy. And when I look at my 9-year-old daughter, Sophia, kind of like John, I didn't know if I was going to be a parent or not. And frankly, after 20 years and working in schools, I didn't know if I wanted kids. But my wife and I had that conversation. We discerned with our pastor, this is where we want to go. I look at my child and I see literally the light of God present. God, who's the author of all of life. I look at my kid and I think, God has blessed us with this miracle. And every night when she goes to bed, when she's fallen asleep, I give her a blessing. And sometimes if I forget, she'll remind me, Daddy, I need my blessing. And I bless her with faith and hope and love, gentleness, peace and joy, wisdom and compassion. I pray that all of God's holy communion of angels and saints bless her and protect her this night and forever, because without faith, life is meaningless. And that's, as a dad, I'm trying to model that for her, the meaning of our Catholic faith in my life, and the impact it has. Apart from my job, it's who we are and it's who we're called to be. And I see her growing in that. In fact, she's next door right now giving a religion lesson to her babies. I can hear the music. It must be, liturgical music hour. So that's how I see myself. I need to lead that for my family. And it brings me great joy, like you said, Gerardo.
And I like the idea that you share about the blessing in the evening. I always encouraged dads to do that, and parents to do that. You give your child a kiss before they go to bed, but give them a God kiss. Even a simple blessing just on their forehead. Something as simple as that is a reminder that God is kissing them as well.
Yeah, one I think bit of advice I would certainly give for anyone who's about to be a father for the first time, it's something that I think I've learned, and maybe I'm continuing to grow into learning, is you just learn to give up control a little bit. I mean, there's so much with parenthood that just feels out of control. You're trying your best, and you're getting advice from about 1 million different people, and it's all contradictory advice. And you're trying your best, and you do something, and everything seems to go awry, and you don't know if you made the right decision or not, and you're doing the best you can. And something someone said that really stuck with me is learning to rely on God of the gaps. And it was this prayer that he basically would say every night, something along the lines of, God, wherever me and my wife, wherever we failed today to show love, to express care, to be the best parents we can, we rely on you to fill those gaps. And that really resonated with me, and it reminded me too of a homily I heard at a funeral about how the fact that with the people that we really care about, our wives, our kids, our husbands, our siblings, like, we're here to take care of them, but ultimately they're God's, and we're kind of like, they're ultimately God's, and we're like foster parents, and that kind of thinking of God as God of the gaps kind of takes a little bit of that pressure off. That I can just do my best, and that has to be enough.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. God is in the gaps.
Yeah.
Gerardo, any other words of wisdom that you might want to impart?
Yeah, and this is funny. I remember my dad telling me this when I was a little boy, and I still remember it. He told me, he asked me, what do you think is the greatest gift a father can give his children? And I just asked him because I knew he wanted me to ask him. So I was like, tell me. And he said, to love his wife was his answer.
Yeah.
And that stayed with me so much. And it's one of the things that I try to make sure that they know how much I love their mother, not just by saying it, but by showing it, because I feel like a child's sense of security, safety, joy, and love it hinges on that so much. So that's one thing that I would definitely count as a good advice that I got from my dad. Now I get to share it with you folks.
I absolutely believe in that. I think it's absolutely true. A child is going to watch, when a child, watch your children when you and your spouse dance at some event. When they look at you dancing, they're amazed. It really does create a sense of comfort when they watch the two of you in love, which is so awesome. It's awesome. Well, I want to say thank you very much for joining me for this segment of Christ in Our Neighborhood. And thank all of you for being attentive to this wonderful segment with these three fine gentlemen, Catholic men and Catholic dads. And I hope and pray that Father's Day will be a blessing for you all. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.